Canelo Alvarez tells the truth about Terence Crawford, and Terence Crawford gets in his feelings about it. Canelo said other than Errol Spence, he ain't really beat no real good fighters.
While no one believes Terence Crawford, who has never fought beyond 154 pounds, can beat Canelo Alvarez at 168 pounds, the Mexican's usual weight, Crawford has been asking for this fight for months. Now, it seems to be coming true this September in Las Vegas, thanks to the management of Turki Alalshik.
Official? Is it official?
It's on, baby. September 13, baby. Look forward to it. Crawford versus Canelo. Listen how I said it.
Hey, are we getting this confirmation here?
The heat between Crawford and Canelo has only intensified, with tensions reaching a boiling point during a recent encounter at an airport. Both fighters happened to be in the same place for a meeting with Turki Alalshik, and what started as an exchange of words quickly escalated into something physical. Canelo, with an icy glare, fired off a sharp comment about Crawford not belonging at 168 pounds, while Bud snapped back, calling out Canelo for his past fight conditions.
Stuff about me going up and having a tough time, but he went up in weight and lost. That's the difference. I went up weight and won. He went up and lost. You know, so let's not.
The tension reached a breaking point when a shove led to Canelo throwing a short, sharp blow that landed on Crawford's chest, prompting those around them to rush in and separate them before things got out of hand. Security stepped in, and both fighters were pulled apart, but the message was clear. This fight was going to be personal. Canelo, smirking, brushed off Crawford's challenge, muttering something about Crawford being too small and not worth the effort. However, insiders say the confrontation didn't end there. Sources close to the situation reported that Crawford and Canelo continued exchanging verbal jabs as they were escorted away, with Bud calling Canelo a cherry picker and mocking his past fights. Canelo, on the other hand, allegedly told his team, "This guy doesn't know what he's asking for. He's about..."
Yeah, I mean, like, when you're looking at Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis, this is the next thing beyond.
While Crawford has already expressed his frustration with Saul Canelo Alvarez, who criticized the level of opponents the Nebraska native has faced in his career, now, it is his trainer, Brian McIntyre, who is speaking out against the Guadalajara-born fighter. The issue? The rehydration clause that Canelo is said to impose on his opponents, which limits how much weight they can gain after stepping on the scales. However, this will not be a condition for Crawford. He will not have to meet such a requirement, nor will he demand one from Canelo. Even if the Mexican comes in heavier, we don't care about that. You can only go up to a certain point, and if you go past that, that's your problem. The first thing that came out of his mouth was that he wanted the fight. If Terence has no problem with that, I don't either.
Two more weight classes. Like, once he gets touched by Canelo, it's going to be different.
I am concerned about him absorbing a Canelo punch, especially through the course of 12 rounds. We do know this about Canelo, he's going to slow down.
That, McIntyre told The Ring when asked if they would request a rehydration clause for the Mexican fighter. "This is boxing. I have the skills. You stepped on the scale, you made weight, and no matter how much you gain back after, you accepted the fight, so let's get in the ring and fight like men. It's that simple." Terence Crawford is determined to prove his greatness against Canelo Alvarez. He downplays the weight difference with Saul Canelo Alvarez, believing that true champions rise to the challenge regardless of size. "People say you're too small, you're outmatched, or you shouldn't be in the ring with this type of fighter. That's when great fighters perform at their best," Crawford told boxing scene. Amir Khan remains the only fighter to have faced both Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford. The former unified super lightweight world champion moved up to middleweight in May 2016 for a WBC title shot against Canelo. Despite a competitive start, he was ultimately stopped in brutal fashion, with Alvarez delivering a devastating sixth-round knockout. 3 years later, at his more natural weight of 147 pounds, Khan challenged Crawford for his WBO welterweight title. However, the outcome was similar. Khan was dropped in the first round before Bud secured a sixth-round TKO victory. Canelo and Crawford now seem destined to face off later this year in a highly
fighter, and is strong as well, which a lot of people don't give him the credit for. I think that fight, if it does happen, as long as Crawford stays away and just boxes.
Speaking on the AHAT Live podcast, Amir Khan revealed that Marcos Maidana was the hardest-hitting fighter he has ever faced. "Marcos Maidana, I beat him in 2010. That guy's a beast. I can't remember anything from the first round. The next thing I knew, the fight was a blur, man. I only remembered what happened when I watched it back on TV. What a fight that was exciting. You had speed, power, everything in there. He was very heavy-handed.
That's exactly what he's gonna do to him. No, facts. Years prior to him dropping him, he told Errol Spence on video, he said, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna show you.
When he hits you, you feel it. It's not one of those stinging shots. I've been put down by punches that didn't even hurt me, just flash knockdowns. But with him, he had that devastating power that went through you. Even when he was right next to you and hit you in the ribs, you could feel how heavy his hand was. So, I have to say, Maidana was the hardest puncher I ever faced. Khan defeated Maidana by unanimous decision in December 2010 to retain his WBA super lightweight title, a fight widely regarded as one of the best of the year.
See if he can beat him. If he beats him, he may go fight Benavidez next. If he don't beat him, he say, okay, I'll take it to the highest I could go.
Boxing fans are hoping for another fight of the year contender later this year when Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford meet in the ring. Former rival Errol Spence Jr. has weighed in with his prediction for the bout. Terence Crawford is facing an entirely different challenge against Canelo Alvarez, not just in terms of weight, but in the raw physicality of a fighter who has built his legacy by dominating bigger opponents. Many in the boxing world see this as a dangerous leap for Crawford, but his camp remains unwavering in their confidence.
He wants to show the world that he's the best, so why put stipulations when you know that you can be the best?
For years, Canelo has been known for his ability to control the pace of a fight, walking down opponents with relentless pressure. His durability is unmatched, having absorbed shots from power punchers like Gennady Golovkin, Sergey Kovalev, and Dmitry Bivol without crumbling. Crawford, on the other hand, has never faced an opponent who can sustain that level of power over 12 rounds. Critics believe this will be the deciding factor. However, those inside Team Crawford argue that weight and power aren't the only elements that matter in a fight of this magnitude. According to them, Canelo has slowed down significantly, showing clear signs of vulnerability in recent fights.
Other man, he's seen Lara, he's seen all these guys. I mean, nothing he brings at a smaller weight too coming back up. Now let's switch it to the other side. Has Crawford seen anything?
Crawford's team points to Canelo's fight against Jermell Charlo, where he failed to secure a knockout against a naturally smaller opponent, despite Charlo being overly cautious throughout. Even more telling, they say, was Canelo's performance against Edgar Berlanga. Though Canelo won, he didn't dominate in the way many expected. Berlanga, who lacks elite-level skills, still managed to have his moments, and that alone gives Crawford's team confidence. If Berlanga could land clean shots, they argue, what happens when Crawford, a far superior boxer, gets his opportunities?
And whatnot, about the size, and he won't get no credit, and all this type of things, but Canelo been fighting smaller guys.
Crawford is known for his ability to break opponents down mentally before finishing them physically. His tactical adjustments have been the key to his success, and his ability to switch stances fluidly is something that could cause serious issues for Canelo. The Mexican champion has always been methodical in his approach, preferring to counterpunch and exploit openings rather than overwhelm opponents with sheer volume. However, Crawford's ability to constantly change looks and angles could disrupt Canelo's rhythm in a way that few have been able to.
Being former champion and an up-and-coming undefeated contender, and somehow those three last opponents are somehow compared to Bud's Madrimov fight, making it a 50-50 fight? Wow.
Most vocal supporters dismiss these claims, arguing that Crawford's success has largely come against smaller fighters who lack the defensive responsibility required to survive at the elite level in higher weight classes. They point out that Errol Spence Jr., the biggest name on Crawford's resume, was drained and visibly diminished when they fought. Furthermore, many believe Crawford has never truly felt elite-level power. While he looked dominant against Spence, Sean Porter, and Kell Brook, none of those fighters hit like Canelo. Unlike Spence, who is flat-footed and easy to hit, Canelo possesses elite head movement and defensive awareness.
For me, in my weight class, it's an easy fight. For me, easy money. So if the money is right, I'm in. Because, I don't like to fight guys like...
There's also the matter of Canelo's experience at the highest level. He has shared the ring with Floyd Mayweather, Gennady Golovkin, Miguel Cotto, and a long list of top-tier champions. Even in his losses, he has shown an ability to absorb lessons and evolve. Crawford, for all his greatness, has never been forced to make those kinds of adjustments in a fight. However, McIntyre and his team don't see that as a disadvantage. In their eyes, Crawford hasn't been in those wars because he hasn't needed to be. They believe his dominance is a sign of his mastery, not an indication of an easy career.
Like you said, I will give you Terence Crawford to be an outcome. He can, because he's that good of a boxer. We can't forget Canelo is giving his own justice.
Outside the ring, the build-up for this fight has already turned personal. Alvarez, who typically maintains a cool and professional demeanor, has been more dismissive of Crawford than any other opponent in recent memory. He has made it clear that he doesn't respect the challenge, referring to Crawford as a small guy and laughing at the idea that he could pose a real threat. Crawford, never one to back down, has fired back at every opportunity. He believes Canelo's arrogance will be his downfall and is more motivated than ever to expose what he sees as weaknesses in the Mexican superstar. Even during their private...
that's what everybody want to see. The only way they can be answered is if me and Canelo is in the ring and we fight.
There is also speculation surrounding the judges, given Canelo's history of receiving favorable scorecards in close fights. Crawford's team is well aware of this and has made it clear that they do not intend to leave the outcome in the judges' hands. That alone suggests Crawford will look to push the pace early, potentially testing Canelo's gas tank, which has come into question in recent years. Another layer of controversy surrounding the fight is the role of Turki Alalshik. Some fans believe that the Saudi backer is more invested in making Crawford the star of the event, given his admiration for underdog stories. Others argue that Canelo remains the bigger attraction and that behind-the-scenes politics will ultimately favor him.
That I favor Canelo is that is his weight, and that he's more bigger. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing. But as far as skill set wise, IQ, I feel like Crawford can match anybody and probably do weight.
A major concern for Canelo's team is Crawford's mindset. They recognize that Crawford thrives on being doubted. In his eyes, this is just another opportunity to prove people wrong. He has always believed that the more an opponent underestimates him, the more dangerous he becomes. Despite the size difference, many insiders believe Crawford has the speed and sharpness to land at will if he can keep the fight in the center of the ring. They argue that he has a real chance to outbox Canelo over 12 rounds. However, if Canelo is able to trap him against the ropes, his bodywork could take a serious toll, making it difficult for Crawford to sustain his movement throughout the fight.
You want the fight, they don't want to get credit for that fight. It's the same for me. I don't need to take that fight because...
Regardless of how things play out, one thing is clear: this fight is as much about legacy as it is about money. Canelo doesn't want to be the guy who loses to a naturally smaller fighter, while Crawford wants to cement himself as an all-time great by accomplishing what many believe is impossible. With both men unwilling to back down, it's only a matter of time before the talking ends and the punches start flying. The boxing world is watching closely, and no matter who wins, this will be a fight that will be talked about for years to come.
Terence Crawford, I see he wants to fight, he's made it clear. Do fights like that help your legacy, or do you feel like that's something that's not worth it to you?
Everything in my career, every fight make my legacy different and better, no?
Israel Madrimov's prediction about the upcoming mega fight between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez has sparked a lot of debate. Known for his brutal honesty, Madrimov didn't hold back when asked about the outcome of this fight, and his answer wasn't what many expected. After facing Crawford in a tough battle for the WBA light middleweight title last year, Madrimov is no stranger to the champion's skill. However, his bold stance on how Crawford will fare against Canelo has only added fuel to the already blazing fire of speculation surrounding this highly anticipated fight.
Whatever I want, hands down.
That'll work. So if yeah, you're in. So
if Madrimov's prediction was straightforward, it was that Canelo Alvarez will win, and not just win, but do so by decision. His reasoning: it's a very different weight class. Canelo will win, I think, by decision, Madrimov told Boxing News. While many would expect a fighter like Crawford, who has established himself as one of the most skilled and dangerous boxers of his generation, to have a chance.
Crawford is one of the best fighters that I've seen.
Now, Canelo
What made Madramov's statement even more controversial is that it sharply contrasts with the opinions of others in the boxing world. Canelo Alvarez, who holds multiple world titles in the super middleweight division, has a reputation for being a calculated and powerful fighter who thrives against larger opponents. His ability to absorb damage, combined with his punching power, has made him a feared figure in the ring.
That's the mega fight, that's the money fight, that's the only thing that makes sense with Terence Crawford.
Well, you know, I mean, catch weight. Can do something.
While Madramov's take is undeniably bold, he's not the only one voicing an opinion on the mega fight. Jaron Boots Ennis, another rising star in the sport, has also weighed in, but his view on the fight is far from one-sided. Ennis, known for his slick boxing skills and knockout power, has called the fight a 50-50th contest. He pointed out that Crawford will be putting on an additional 14 pounds to compete at super middleweight, and that could affect his performance. He's going to have to put on an extra 14 pounds, so he might
to land the Canelo Crawford fight, which was announced. I don't know that it's actually official, but it sounds like the idea.
The idea of Crawford, a fighter known for his speed, agility, and defensive prowess, potentially being slowed down by the extra weight has caused a stir among boxing fans. It's a valid point. Crawford has always relied on his quick reflexes and ability to control the pace of a fight. Moving up in weight could very well alter that dynamic, especially against a fighter like Canelo, who is both physically imposing and incredibly skilled in the art of pressure fighting. While Crawford's move to super middleweight is one of the biggest talking points leading into this showdown, it's also important to consider the factors that make Canelo.
The Canelo fight, realistically left your mind once he said he's not interested, or you still pursuing it?
Not at all. I think business talk.
Yet despite all the respect Crawford has earned throughout his career, some critics, including Canelo himself, have cast doubt on Crawford's track record. Speaking to TMZ Sports, Canelo acknowledged Crawford's talent but was quick to downplay his resume, especially when compared to the Mexican star's extensive list of victories. Look, I respect Terence Crawford. He's very talented, but he's just won one big fight. If you see his record, he just beat one good fighter. Other than that, he hasn't beaten other good fighters like Spence, Canelo said.
English fighter, and I would just like to, fight another great.
Which is a very noble reason. It's a reason.
Canelo's comments were aimed squarely at Crawford's most significant win, his victory over Errol Spence Jr. last year. While many consider this to be Crawford's defining moment, Canelo's statement reflects his belief that Crawford hasn't faced the same level of competition that he himself has. For Canelo, it's not just about the wins, but about the opponents you've beaten along the way. And for all of Crawford's brilliance in the ring, Canelo's assessment is that Crawford's resume doesn't quite match up.
El Charlo thought with Canelo.
It's not just the size difference that gives Canelo the advantage, though his ability to close the distance and apply constant pressure could be a nightmare for Crawford, who thrives when he's in control of the distance. In their respective weight classes, both fighters are masters at dictating the pace of a fight. But in a battle of this magnitude, something will have to give. For Crawford, maintaining his trademark speed and movement while adjusting to Canelo's relentless attack is the key challenge. Well, how do you think this ends? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more updates. See you in the next one.